Hello, neighbor. I'm Robert Burns, and welcome back to our second installment of this fascinating series. I have with me once again a candidate for sheriff of Ascension Parish. I put the cart a little bit before the horse there, C.J. Matthews. And briefly to tell you where we were in segment one, he had outlined some serious concerns that he had about a cover-up by underlings to include the former sheriff, Jeff Wiley, as well as the current sheriff, Bobby Weber, with regard to the activities of Fred Calder with regard to texting a 16-year-old female at Donaldsonville High School and a botched sting. And I want to say one thing very quickly. As most people know, I have a number of law enforcement officers who follow this blog, and they follow it religiously, and they all say that either there is the absolute epitome of incompetence at that sheriff's office on that sting, or else, as he has indicated, it was an intentional botch to help get him off. Secondly, I want to make one other quick point. We've all seen the Chris Nakamoto features of all that's happened over in Livingston Parish, the cover-ups, and that's just, it's so disgusting, I'm not even going to repeat the activities that took place with those underage folk. But it's very aggravating to know, and I'm sure many viewers feel the same way, that if this is John Q. Public, you're going straight to jail, as you should. But in this case, conveniently, there was no arrest. So we're going to pick it back up. That'll very quickly bring you up to speed of where we were. We left off with document number 2, and the 4th page. I had said that if you looked, and that's kind of going a little bit ahead, I did it on purpose. It was the Attorney General closing out the investigation as of October 30th. Now, the only reason the Attorney General was even involved, and that's one of the things we're going to cover today, is Mr. Matthews filed a complaint on or about June 4th or June 6th of 2018. Yes, sir. And we're going to pick it up from there. We're going to provide 4 documents today, and we're going to give Mr. Matthews the opportunity to elaborate as much or as little on each one of them. So the first document that we're going to provide is the victim statement and the interview that was held with Lieutenant Kelly Brown. So, Mr. Matthews, do you have any commentary you'd like to make on that document?
Absolutely, but before we get there to the actual victim statements, to close out Kelly Brown's report that he wrote, which I think was
well, and we're going to discuss that one as number 5. But if you want to,
okay, to close it out in his report, he said there was no doubt that the victim identified one of the photos that was recovered off of Calder's phone as her naked breast.
Okay.
Now, at his last paragraph in his investigation, now once again, ladies and gentlemen, let me preface this with this. What you're hearing, it's all a crime. Mm-hmm. And think about this. What if that was your daughter?
Right.
And a law enforcement officer was asking what you're fixing to hear in just a few moments, and you think that's okay? We can just sweep that under the rug, or we can just fire him and let him move off somewhere else and become someone else's problem? Absolutely not. The sheriff and the deputies swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States and the state of Louisiana and to enforce all the laws. You don't get to pick and choose. Mm-hmm. Okay? Misdemeanors, you may have a slight bit of discretion when you're writing a ticket or don't write a ticket. We'll let you off with a warning. We'll issue you a soft copy instead of a hard copy. This is a felony, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Felony. So his last paragraph is, and this is Kelly Brown's report. During our investigation, it was learned that the situation between Calder and the juvenile female never turned physical. That is not required in the crime of indecent behavior with a juvenile. LLS 1481. After a forensic search of Calder's phone by Investigative Service Division, nothing was found criminal. We're going to get to that in just a minute. That is an outright lie.
All right.
Okay. During the investigation, it was learned that Calder and the juvenile female never had any contact with each other away from school. What does that have to do with it?
Right.
It was at school. Mm-hmm. After reviewing the case, it was determined that no arrest was made due to lack of evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is dripping with probable cause to arrest him and evidence.
And I will just add, the law enforcement officials with whom I've consulted, that I have tremendous respect for, echoed those sentiments 100%.
Okay, now you wanted to move into her statement.
Yeah.
Now, once again, this is not classified material.
Right?
This is all information that was gained through public records request. In her statement, she gave a multiple page statement. So here we go on page 8. Brown asked her, "How did you meet Fred?" She said it was Wednesday. She was at school in her ROTC uniform. He had stopped to talk to me and asked if I wanted to be in the National Guard. I told him, yeah, kind of, but I don't plan on pushing it. And then he said, well, I could get you in hooked up in the National Guard. And then he told me, he started talking about his wife and how she didn't live with him no more, and he needs a friend, and he wanted me to suck his penis, but
Doesn't use the word penis,
nope.
but right.
And this is all straight
Straight from the interview.
straight from the interview. And the next thing, that night he started texting my phone and asked me to send pictures of my tattoos, and I did. And then he sent me one of his ankle, and he told me to send all the pictures, and I sent him a mirror picture where he could only see my breast. And then he didn't send me none back. So then on through the interview, page 10, okay, he said he'd bring you home after the track meeting. Yeah. Then Brown asked, and did he ask for any favors during that time? Juvenile female, yeah, he told me he asked me to suck his penis. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yes.
one more time for the cheap seats. This is a crime.
Yes.
Keep in mind, bear in mind, what if this was your daughter?
Right.
This is a law enforcement officer. This is, it's appalling.
And he's receiving these texts, not giving any indication whatsoever that, hey, whoa, we're way off base here,
He's soliciting them.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So here we go again. Brown, further on down on page 12. And Brown asked, and what other pictures, what other tattoos? And the juvenile female responds, my little left thigh and my right hip. Anything about your back? Apparently, Brown had maybe seen the photos off the phone.
You reckon?
Okay. Yeah, I sent him one of my back. What was on your back? A cross. What's the one on your left thigh? A rose. Did you send him any other pictures? Yeah, I sent him one of my left thigh, my right hip. Your right hip? Yeah. And what is that one? A heart and stars. Brown. A heart and stars. A red heart? Juvenile female. Nah, it's black. Brown. Black heart. Where's that one located around? Juvenile female. Around the vagina area.
Oh, Lord.
Goes on further. What is the picture that you took of yourself in the mirror? Yeah, And what was that of? My breast. Brown. Did you have a shirt on? Did you pull your shirt up? No. Brown. Did you have a shirt on? Juvenile female. My shirt was off. Brown. Okay, do you remember if he ever commented on the pictures? Juvenile female. Yeah, he went like saying, oh, wow.
So basically this interview and victim statement is replete with sexual overtures.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the main thrust of.
Now, here's one little caveat at the very end of the statement. The juvenile female goes on to say that, Porter rotated out from the school, and Kelly Brown asked, you stopped, so you win, you say you, I don't think that's when he gave me his man's number and told me, bring it to me. What man? A man on the street? A man that was at Donaldsonville at the police. So another police officer that was working Donaldsonville, yeah, gave you his number, told you his number? Well, he gave it to me. Brown, how did he give it to you? Because me and my friend was sitting right there, and he walked up to me and said, "One of y'all ROTC?" And I told him, "Yeah, me." And he said, "Well, Fred told me to give you his number on a piece of paper." And he gave you a piece of paper? Uh-huh. Is that the piece of paper you gave me earlier? Uh-huh. So apparently she kept that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did you ever text him back? Uh-huh. And you haven't heard from him since? Nope, because I didn't text him and my phone's in the river. She apparently lost her phone.
All righty. Well, I think we can safely say that that alone should have provided adequate probable cause. Am I correct? Even if that's all you had.
If that was all you had.
Right. I know there's plenty more. So how about we move on to document number 4. Now, I don't know for the tech gurus out there, if you want to go through this, do it to your heart's content, but document number 4 that we're going to provide is the digital phone analysis. So do you have any commentary you want to make on this?
Absolutely.
All right.
The analysis was done by Mike Bruner, who is I think he might be a sergeant.
Okay.
Yeah, Detective Sergeant Mike Bruner. He obtained a search warrant for the Apple iPhone. Using this iPhone, I further refined the call details recording to eliminate all communications except for those within his phone number. And talking about the
Sure.
recorder in the victim's phone. I found that between the dates of 2/28/18
All right.
through 3/20/18, there was 68 voice calls and 743 SMS messages, which is either text or photos,
Correct.
were exchanged between Exhibit 1 and the phone number identified by the juvenile as belonging to her.
And by my quick math, that would be an average of about 25 texts a day, every day.
That is a lot of text
That's a lot of text.
for, I'm just trying to help get her into the National Guard.
Right.
It goes on. Now, here's where the botched thing, it's not immaterial, but this solidifies it. Journey data regarding the controlled meeting on 6/4/18 was recovered from the phone. Journey data showed Quarters traveled at 11:44 on 6/4/18 from US 61 to LE 74 to D Penn Street off LE 74. That's where the store was located, LE 74 and D Penn Street.
Correct, and that was reflected back on those texts that we provided in segment 1, where she didn't even know where she was because she said, "I'm staying with friends." He said, "Oh, well, does that mean you can come and go as you please?" And she said, "Yeah, I can come and go as I please." He said, "Okay, where do you live?" And she said, "Do you know a street that starts with a D that has a store at the end?" He said, "Yeah, I know where Penn Street is."
Yep.
And then they set up the meeting thereafter.
And this is further in Bruner's report. The location where the meeting between, and this was 2 D Penn Street and LA 74, the location where the meeting between he and the juvenile was to take place. In addition, I recovered the text messages which were sent back and forth between Quarter and the case detectives to arrange the meeting. It should be noted that the entire conversation regarding this meeting was deleted by the end user of the device. So here you go, another charge. That's called obstruction of justice by deleting that evidence.
Yes.
Okay? So,
And we're talking about Quarter who would have deleted that, correct?
absolutely, he's
Correct.
the end user. So here's the other thing. If I'm just trying to get her into the National Guard, why
do I need
would
to start
delete
deleting?
the text?
I understand. And that's an excellent question.
And it basically just goes on to about the more breakdown of the actual text between which you've already provided.
Right, right. And it's there for anybody, you know.
Absolutely.
As everyone knows, when I do a feature, I want to provide extensive backup detail. This gentleman has supplied it, and we're going to see to it that you get it. So how about we move on to the next document, and that is Kelly Brown's closeout. Now, I know you referred to it a little bit earlier. If you want to elaborate further, feel free. Close this out. Lieutenant Brown closed this out, basically saying we don't have enough.
Reports dated 6/24/18.
All right.
That's basically saying, after reviewing the case, it was determined that there was no arrest was made due to lack of evidence. Now, they expend a whole lot of energy with this. And you're going to get a copy of this. On 7/12/18, Craig Beeman, Mike Sanji, and others review the case involving allegations made by a 16-year-old female against former Ascension Parish Sheriff's Deputy Fred Quarter. The purpose of this review was to establish if any crime had been committed in accordance with Louisiana law. After reviewing the case collectively, it was a consensus that there was no evidence to support a criminal charge against Fred Quarter.
Wow. No evidence.
is asinine.
Not even inadequate, no evidence.
And
I think you used the perfect word, asinine.
And here's the deal: either like you said earlier, either it's total incompetence, or they were put up to do this.
Exactly.
Okay. Now,
and our audience can be the judge. I don't mean to be so cynical about this that I don't want people to evaluate. I mean, evaluate. It is what it is.
And then on the same day, Beeman writes in a report that he contacted the second in command at the 23rd JDC, and
we're talking about the district attorney's office now. We're talking about
assistant district attorney advised that the investigation they didn't have any advised investigators that we did not have any evidence which would allow him to prosecute a criminal charge against Fred Cora. I know this man. I'm not going to mention his name, but it is in the report.
Okay.
I've known him since I've had a cognitive memory. He was a music director in the church that I grew up in.
Okay.
Now, either one or two things has happened. Either they did not tell him any of this, and I pray to God
that's the case.
That's what happened. Mm-hmm. Or either we have a big problem in Ascension Parish, not just with the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office, ladies and gentlemen.
But with the DA's office. Too.
Absolutely.
All right. Fair enough. Well, and then that moves us on. You were not happy, as has been made apparent, about the way this whole thing was handled. And so that's document number 6 that we'll be providing in this feature. You filed a complaint with the AG's office, and we're going to supply their commentary with regard to your complaint and the documentation that they supplied in addressing your complaint. And we're going to take it all the way up to the October 31st, 2018 closeout by the Attorney General's office, which, as we said, had already given you a little taste of what was to come in the first feature by providing that as the 4th page in document 2. But why don't you go ahead and this is your show right here, because you're the one responsible for all for all of that. Without you, they don't generate all this documentation.
Absolutely. So on June 14th, 2018 is the day that I contacted the special agent in charge. His name was Mark Amos. He was a duty agent. And I gave him the information that I knew at that time.
All right.
Okay, which I must admit was not everything that I have here.
Okay.
What I had was a deputy was involved with a juvenile. There were some pictures sent, and they did a sting operation, and they got his phone, and the journey data showed that he was there, and that was pretty much it.
Oh.
And that in and of itself is bad enough. But once I got the actual file from the AG's office, it's you be the judge. It's horrible.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and it's a shame to say that these people involved in this, ladies and gentlemen, are still working at the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office. They're still working cases. How many other cases have been covered up like this?
Who knows?
So, long story short, let's see, on August 3rd, 2018, Ike Vavasour contacted the complainant and informed me that the findings listed in the report, the complainant maintained that he believes that the matter was not adequately, that's me. Not adequately investigated by APSO, and that he believes blank should have been charged in the case. The complaint also questioned the extent of the inquiry by Vavasour on behalf of the Louisiana Bureau of Investigation. And you can read in their report, here's 3 things I asked Ike Vavasour when he called me.
Okay.
I said, Ike, and I know him because he used to work homicide with Baton Rouge City.
Okay.
I said, Ike, did you talk to the detectives involved in the case?
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, we didn't.
No.
Okay, Ike. By chance, did you review the text chain or look at the photographs? Well, no, we didn't.
Mm.
Lastly, but most importantly, did you talk to the victim? No, we didn't. So I had a few choice words.
I can understand.
And, that was it. At that point with the AG's office.
Right. That's where we're going to have an interesting lead into segment 3. First of all, I want to compliment you on how well organized all of this material that you've supplied is. And I think that's reflected in what I'm just going to say is a phenomenal number of views and looking at the post itself, but the views themselves. You've got one of the fastest, let me put it this way, you're in the top 3. And I've done a lot of videos, okay? You're in the top 3 for being able to generate this number of views. We're closing in on 800 as we film this, and that is in a matter of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So you're averaging 125 a day. Not that I'm saying stick your chest out or anything, but I think that shows the interest level of folk when you're dealing with this kind of material.
Absolutely.
And folk, we're still, just wait till you see the fallout that happens after you see his nodding his head, after the Attorney General, quote, closed out. It's going to get real interesting, folks. Don't want to give it away. Don't want to give it away, but I'm going to tell you one thing you don't want to miss, segment 3. So, Mr. Matthews, thank you once again for taking time out of your day. We thank you for this, and sure you'll be back over this way to do segment 3 in very short order.
Absolutely, Mr. Burns.
Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.